respond to that email, screen email. All right, so I have put some notes down. I'm sorry if I have to suffer with my reading them. It would be a lot better than my trying to do this extemporaneously. I can tell stories. That would really be crazy. Okay, so I just want to thank all of you, President Kenton, Steve, Trent, thank you. I didn't get to meet Jared. Steve here. Jared, thank you. And Julie, Cheryl was there. Others, I know there were others. All the other individuals present or otherwise. Whether official representatives of the college or on your own, who not only made this occasion possible, but have welcomed us so warmly. I'm sure I speak for all the guests when I say we are humbled by your gracious hospitality. It is a privilege to be here. We do feel honored. I want to introduce my wife, Cindy. My Cindy. I remain a big fan of marriage. Ours is a shared experience. We put up hay together. The first crop this year might have been the best ever. The second crop was decent as well. But now that she's retired from nursing, she gets to drive the tractor and leave the stacking to me. It's not that this campus is somehow hallowed ground, but given that this is where our paths intersected and affection for each other was kindled, SPBC and Crown College will always harbor great charm for us. And I also want to introduce our oldest son, Darius, who's sitting next to Cindy. And there's someone else here this evening whose presence is a great personal delight. That's Dr. T. Winkle. Kevin David, I was just sitting next to him. I believe the last time that we saw you, Dr. T. Winkle, like this in person, was at Cindy's parents' place near Zimmerman, Minnesota, on our wedding day, more than 46 years ago.
All right.
Wow. You know, for some background, I had been a year out of high school. Well, I should just say, Jared, at least submit something in emails, kind of a bio concept thing. Is that can be printed out, or is there people who see that? Because I'm not going to sign any of that here. But okay. So I came from a small high school in Montana. Small farming community, Mennonite farming community, 40 miles west of Oklahoma Point. And I never saw a soccer ball. I should back up today. There's Lotto, Dave Larson, was saying that he didn't know I was an MK. Well, I wasn't an MK directly. I had been born and raised in Nigeria, northern Nigeria. And so then I had some exposure there to playing soccer. The Africans are into it. And but then my last 3 years of high school were here in this country. I graduated from a small high school, 39 students in the 9th, 10th, and 12th grades. 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, excuse me. And the whole school, I don't think I ever saw a soccer ball. I don't know if they knew what a soccer ball was. Ranching community. And then after high school, it's a long story, I won't belabor that, but I ended up working for a farmer in western Oklahoma. So technically when I came to SPBC, I was an Okie. Anyway, I had that year out of high school, and I made an application for admission to SPBC. I had never visited the campus. It wasn't from Minnesota. I was altogether unfamiliar with the initials CMA. Had never heard the names A.B. Simpson, A.W. Tozer. So you'd be led to believe I had a horribly benighted upbringing. But three things about this school were especially attractive to me, the foremost being that history was offered as a major course of study. And then even during the new student days, activities that fall, Dr. T. Winkle was the one who gave us the challenge as freshmen. And I remember that clearly. And then, of course, his modern civ that year anyway, I just appreciate Dr. T. Winkle for his guidance, godly example, his impact in the classroom, and his counsel and affirmation again and again. By the way, the two other criteria that led to this particular college being the compelling choice for me was the fact, one was the fact that 6 semesters of Christian service were required for graduation. I value that. That says something. And obviously, intercollegiate soccer, which is precisely why a number of us are here tonight, because of the opportunity we were given to play soccer. My own arrival at SPBC was in the fall of '74, already a half century ago. September 19 that year was likewise a Thursday, so it's hard to believe that 50 years ago today, some of us were out back there next to the swamp, running around chasing the softball. Even now, long removed from the scene, and with my 70th birthday exactly 5 months from now, the memory of that experience is as enchanting as ever. No doubt my teammates would agree with this, though. Within the context of the many chapters of our lives that have unfolded since, those seasons in the soccer competition barely merit mentioning. I am also aware that in the scheme of eternal values and lasting consequences, athletic pursuits are of minor significance. 1 Timothy 4:8 is the reference point in mind. Nevertheless, our hope remains that athletic competition can still be a platform for letting our truest light, the light of Jesus, shine before men. And I should just say, we see this all the time in our culture, where an athlete, an accomplished athlete, is able to speak out and mention Jesus, and you're like, whoa, you can't walk into the school and do that. Anyway, I used to go to jail for ministry, Bible study, with a friend of mine who had been in jail recently. He did this for 25, 30 years. You could go into the jail with the Bible, meet with those guys. Across the street was a high school. You can't go in there. And anyway, I'm also reminded of a verse that I've been meditating on recently, 1 John 4:17. As He is, so are we in this world. All right, my take on our season-ending triumphs, what we're celebrating here, especially so the first one in 1976, is that they were inauspicious. Serendipitous might be a better word. We were known then as the Crusaders, but it's not like we went into the season on a crusade with our sights set on winning a championship. The next year, 1977, the postseason tournament, when that came around, we were decidedly more bullish about our prospects, given that we were hosting the playoffs. And our opponent in that final match was a familiar one, Concordia of St. Paul, against whom we had held our own on their home field earlier that season. But in the fall of '76, I don't think we dared to entertain any grand prospects. By the way, I looked up the other schools that participated in our tournament down there on the Indiana-Kentucky border. All 3 have since folded. Ambassador College out of Big Sandy, Texas, closed in 1997. St. Meinrad the following year. Pillsbury in 2008. I would not want anyone to take this as suggesting that a loss to us or in any way contributed to the ultimate demise of the schools. At the same time, it is worth observing and celebrating the fact that, as we just heard from Pastor Denton, that the vision of Crown College continues to flourish. To God alone be the glory. Throughout those years, our expectations for success on the soccer pitch were muted by several factors, starting with the makeup of our team. There was very little sophistication to our approach, scheme-wise, in those days. Pretty much either a 5-3-2, so that's 5 forwards, 3 inside, center forward, and inside and outside, and then 2 wings, 5, 3 halfbacks, or now midfielders, or whatever they call that. And 2 fullbacks, or we would sometimes pull a 3rd fullback back there. What helped us to be competitive was being able to field reasonably skilled players each of those positions. But it's not like we were any great traits or truly exceptional. Then again, we did have a top-notch goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's true.
Corky Hendricks, and I don't know if any of the guys here will remember him, was terrific my first year. But I don't think it would be overly adulated to say, I don't believe we ever encountered an opposing goalie better than our own Carl Lake.
Here, here.
Come to think of it, our defense may well have been the strength of our team, topping the list for defenders the likes of Mike Hammer, Tim Green, Mark Ford, Dave Burgess, Chris Weigel.
Yeah, man.
But overall, we were an everyday, fun-loving sport with varying degrees of ability, representing a wide assortment of backgrounds. A handful of our guys had played varsity soccer in high school, mostly here in the Twin Cities area. Some had participated in other varsity sports like American football, only to find upon coming here, soccer as their only viable fall season option, either that or cross country. For a basketball player like Steve Powell, who I think was supposed to come, or was intending to come, but here? Oh, that's great. All right. I hope I don't say something out of place here. Steve, he was from Indiana. I don't know where you're from now. But anyway, Steve, my guess is that he was a basketball player. Started on the basketball team. I think that playing soccer for him, it provided an optimal off-season conditioning. But there were lots of other students who joined simply because they enjoyed athletics, they liked being outdoors, they needed a diversion from their studies, and found that soccer is about as user-friendly a sport as there is. This, however, being a missionary-minded institution, we were pretty much guaranteed to have a sizable contingent of players from overseas. One or two teammates, like Rosilio Roman, fell into the study abroad category, but our primary benefit came via the MK pipeline, including the Alliance's own network of mission boarding schools. From places like the Lot School in Malaysia and Ivory Coast Academy in Cote d'Ivoire. What also probably made those championships seem unheralded again, the first one for sure, was the fact that if you were to review our regular season play, you'd find our win-loss record to not be particularly remarkable. Some of our competition was on the easy end of the scale, like Northwestern. Their program then in its fledgling stage. I recall walking off that field next to Lake Johanna and looking up at a scoreboard showing we won by a margin of 10 or 11 to 1. If I'm not mistaken, McAllister was another team we never seemed to lose to. Pillsbury Baptist Bible College, on the other hand, could always be relied upon to provide a challenge, and not just their handing out of tracts. Pillsbury had a center half who was about as skilled as any player we ever faced. The only time that I personally witnessed someone score a goal via a bicycle kick was by that guy down at their place in Omatana. Whether or not they ended up winning the game, I can't recall. The U of M did not yet have an official program, but we did scrimmage their men's soccer club in the football stadium on what was then known as AstroTurf, and played them to a draw. We had a similar result at Mankato State. I also remember a match with Bethel on their field in a cold, steady rain where we managed to tie them 1-1. As an aside, the best player on the field for Bethel that day was Ted Simmons. I don't know if that name rings a bell with anyone here. He was an MK from Rift Valley Academy in Kenya. Ted had originally come here to Speedy, and we even roomed together our second semester. But his sister enrolled at Bethel, so he transferred. We did have a lot of close games, but even during those championship seasons, there was yet a time or two when we found ourselves entirely overmatched. On one occasion, and it could have been an earlier year, when we took a trip over to Hamlin and got torched to the tune of something like 10-0. We learned afterwards that their athletic department gave out scholarships. As did Bethany, a 2-year college in Mankato. That team was clearly a cut above. They didn't speak much English. Just came out and played their two-touch all game long. You know what I'm saying? Two-touch.
Yeah.
Well, that's a practice technique where practice and you trap the ball, pass it, trap the ball. I mean, you could shoot it, but that's your second touch or your first touch, but you can't touch it more than twice. Well, they came out and played us. I mean, it was a clinic. Anyway, but even if those 76 and 77 championships, and I can't speak for 78, I graduated in 78, it's probably similar. Even though those were not necessarily anticipated, three important dynamics bear mentioning. One, not infrequently, we did display a measure of good chemistry. Two, we did put in some hard work, especially during our 2 weeks of preseason camp, and what with practicing 3 times every day. And three, we did enjoy a level of camaraderie of a kind that transcends both losing and winning. Indeed, that transcends even the winning championships. Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name be the glory, because of your love and faithfulness. In closing, I would be remiss in being allowed to savor this evening's festivities and the exceptionally charitable recognition Crown College is giving us, if I fail to honor at least one of the many equally deserving teammates who was not able to be part of this reunion. I'm thinking here of Art Dickinson, and if you see what I submitted, you will read a little bit more about Art. Art had brain cancer. He went on to Bethel for a semester, transferred to William Mitchell School of Law, was a corporate lawyer in Minneapolis for about a quarter of a century, had developed a glioblastoma, had lived about 6 years with that, and I visited him many times, and I do have his folder from his memorial service. They lived in Plymouth. Anyway, I played with Art for 3 years. He was a key member of that 76 championship team. Tall, lanky, big right foot, afro, left top. His soccer skills had been developed as an MK growing up in Taiwan. But it was the aroma of Christ that proved to be Art's true legacy. And I'm just going to share this, since I don't know if I wrote it up or had it in there, but you know, after he was diagnosed with this brain cancer, he still continued to work. But eventually they retirement. You can't have somebody who's signing on whatever and he's got this thing going on. But he would go into work, and I was told about this there after the fact. He would go into work, and the secretary, receptionist, whatever, this was Boston Barnett law firm. He would go in there, and the receptionist would say, "How are you doing, Art?" And he would say, "Jesus loves me. Everything else is gravy." Anyway, great testimony. There's a verse in Proverbs 10:7. The memory of one who lived with integrity brings joy. I visited with Art's widow, Pam, yesterday again. She had really wanted to come tonight, but having been diagnosed with multiple myeloma earlier this year, she's currently down at Mayo in the second week of a 6-week-long bone marrow transplant process. The chemical kill-off is set for this Saturday and Sunday. The reintroduction of good stem cells is scheduled for Monday. And she is sending me a link to her CaringBridge site if anyone would like to follow her progress. Thank you.
That's good. We're going to do.
Might be working in earlier.
We want to do the chant. Do the chant.
Up there?
So we had a ritual at our games. We started at 76 years. And that's continued. I transferred to college 30 years to continue this team. So it's a victory chant. So I grew up in West Papua, and many people have warfare, and it's important to have a celebratory chant